Hey guys, welcome to Gridiron Gals, your show for finding out this week's biggest college football games, your recruiting news, and where you can find out what you didn't already know or what you want to know about football and other sports. I'm Savannah Leigh, and I'm going to be your host. Today I'll cover Week 14's biggest college football games, share with you some sweet recruiting news going on right now in the Southeast, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about some ref calls that everyone needs to know if you're going to watch a football game. Alright. Okay, y'all. On to the big games. It is rivalry week in college football. This week can either go really good for a team or it could go really bad. The big games that I chose this week are Alabama versus Auburn, TCU versus Texas, Ohio State versus Michigan, Georgia versus Georgia Tech, Florida versus Florida State, and Mississippi versus Mississippi State. Alright, on to game one. TCU, who's number 5 in the nation, versus Texas. This game is happening on Thursday, Thanksgiving, around 7:30 p.m. And my pick for the game is TCU, definitely. One, they're number 5 in the nation, and they're 10-1 on the season, only losing to Baylor, who, when they played Baylor at the time, was number 5 in the nation. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Number 2, he's a junior from Dallas, and his name is Trevon Boykin. He currently has 28 touchdown passes with only 5 interceptions, along with 7 rushing touchdowns. When you look at this guy, he really means business, and he's out there to play. They're also number 2 in the nation in the turnover margin, which means their defense causes a lot of turnovers when they play football. So Texas, you might want to watch out because you might be causing a lot of turnovers. TCU wins this one by 2 touchdowns on Thursday. On to game 2. Ohio State versus Michigan. Now, Ohio State is number 6 in the nation. This game's going to be Saturday, November 29th around lunchtime. And I'm picking number 6, Ohio State. Why wouldn't you pick Ohio State in this game? They're playing an unranked Michigan team who has been struggling all year long to even become bowl eligible. Another reason is it's in Columbus, Ohio. It can be a scary, scary place to play if you are an underdog or if really anyone, if that crowd can get into it. And not to mention Urban Meyer, who's the head coach for Ohio State. He went and got beat in week 2 by Virginia Tech, this team did. Well, they have gone undefeated ever since and have not left anyone behind. I mean, so many casualties on the football field, scoring 50-plus points. Leads me to my next point. They're currently 4th in the nation in scoring, in total overall points scored. They'll be scoring running-wise, they'll be scoring passing, they'll be scoring any way they possibly could. So Michigan needs to watch out for that one. Granted, this is a very old rivalry. This game, it always can go either way. I honestly believe it'll be all Ohio State. Michigan may have hold on for a little while, but in the end, it's going to be Ohio State by at least 2 touchdowns. Alright, game 3. Number 9, Georgia versus number 16, Georgia Tech. This game's around lunchtime on Saturday, so if you want to be flipping from the Ohio State game to this game, it's pretty cool. And I am picking Georgia. Georgia has won the last 12 out of 13 meetings, and they're on a hot streak right now. Not to mention they have one of the best running backs in the nation, which just happens to be a true freshman, Nick Chubb. This guy stepped up huge this season after the whole debacle with Gurley. He kind of really had no choice, especially with injuries as well. This kid has ran 6 straight games of over 100 rushing yards, which is almost unheard of. He's averaging about 8.5 yards every time he touches the ball. This kid is impressive, and he gets better every game. Not to mention the talent behind him, Sony Michel, who's also a true freshman. Hudson Mason is also getting more comfortable with his routes and more comfortable with his passes, and he is slowly but surely getting better every game. Another major difference in why I'm choosing Georgia over Georgia Tech is the defense and how aggressive the defense is for Georgia. Jeremy Pruitt just came in from Florida State this year, and he has totally just flipped this program around. You can totally tell a difference from last year to this year. This game is going to be very hard-hitting. It's going to be a deep South rivalry. You're going to see a lot of hatred. You're going to see a lot of fire. You're going to see a lot of passion. I think a lot of turnovers as well, so whoever wins the turnover margin in this game is going to be the winner. But Georgia should win it by at least a touchdown. Game 4, number 3 FSU versus unranked Florida. This game is about at 3:30 on Saturday. I'm picking Florida. The last 3 weeks, FSU has really showed that they aren't near as strong as they were last season. They're still undefeated, though, but I smell a really huge upset brewing in Tallahassee. Florida isn't playing bad ball. They just couldn't finish it sometimes this season. However, they did beat Georgia when not many thought they could, and their quarterback went out on injury. And so this freshman came in. He's a dual threat quarterback, Treon Harris. Since he took over, the Gators have gone 3-1 and only losing to South Carolina in an overtime game. The defense ran by Muschamp is lights out every single down. So FSU, Mr. Winston probably needs to watch out for that one. They're very tough, very physical, like any good defense. It's going to be a close one, but the Gators are going to pull it out by a field goal the last minute. Game 5, number 19 Ole Miss versus number 4 Mississippi State. Picking Ole Miss for this one. Both teams have just came out of nowhere this season. Who even knew Mississippi had a good football program? But 2 upsets in a row? Kind of crazy, don't you think? Nah. I've always been taught that any given day, any given time, it doesn't matter if you're number 1 in the nation, it doesn't matter if you're number 100 in the nation. You can win that ball game if you have the heart and if you want to play and if you are having the best day that day. This season, these 2 teams have came out with 2 standout quarterbacks, Dax Prescott and Bo Wallace. And their defense has been lights out as well, being some of the top in the nation. But it's really Ole Miss's time to win the Egg Bowl this season. It is. They've had a couple heartbreaking losses against Auburn and a few others, but Bo Wallace has a standout game. He wins it by at least 10. And then, drum roll, you have the big main event game. This is your 7:45 kickoff game on Saturday night, and it is number 1 Alabama versus number 15 Auburn. This is the Iron Bowl. I am picking Alabama, of course. Alabama cannot be stopped. They're just as good as they've ever been with Blake Sims behind them. With Blake Sims and company, I should say. They have a burn. They have a burn from last year, especially from the last Iron Bowl with a whole golden kickoff, field goal return. Who does a field goal return besides Auburn? Look for them to come out with a fist ready to punch Auburn in the face, score back-to-back points real fast and just get out and let Auburn know that they're there to play and that it's time to play real man's ball, not fancy ball. This is always a memorable game, but I'm looking for Mr. Sims and company to have a good one. Nick Saban was just too good this season to lose. Bama won last-minute field goal to end it in regulation. Alright, now we're switching past a little bit. I'm going to go on to recruiting. These last few weeks in recruiting have been pretty exciting and intriguing for the South. Just to mention a few of them, on November 7th, it was a big day for Georgia. They picked up a big 4-star safety from Lakeside High School right here in Georgia. His name's Rashad Browntree, and he big time safety, just powerhouse hitter, cover, whatever you need to do. This kid's going to be there. Well, the cool thing about this kid is that when he committed to us, instead of picking a hat, he wore different pants. So when he the table was blacked out. You couldn't really see anything around him. And when he said, "I'm committing to who," he stood up and he walked over, and everyone saw his Georgia pants, which I thought was kind of cool. Another memorable pickup this last few weeks was on November 20th. Ole Miss picked up a 4-star guard, number 3 in his position. He's a beast. He's going to be this big blocker. You're not going to get past him unless you're just like a beast yourself. It was a good pickup for Ole Miss because in the South, if you don't get your state's pick and your talent in state, it's not good. You have to have that talent in state. And it's going to be a really good pickup for their already stud-like line. Alrighty, now to do something really quickly, the recruiting standings. The recruiting standings is where you rank each team by how many 5- and 4-star players they have and what they're averaging. Alright, number 5 is Ohio State. They don't have any 5 stars right now, but they have 11 4-stars, and they're averaging 3.4 stars per player. And they have about 23 recruits right now. Number 4 is Clemson. They have 2 5-stars and 8 4-stars, and they're averaging about 3.6. They have 20 recruits. Number 3 is Georgia. They have 3 5-star recruits, 8 4-star recruits, and they're averaging about 3.58 star player average, and they have about 25 players already recruited to them. Number 2 is Florida State. They have 4 5-star recruits, 12 4-star recruits, and they're averaging about a 3.94 talent ratio into the loop. They have 21 recruits. And to round off the top of the list is, of course, Mr. Alabama itself. They have 4 5-star recruits, 13 4-star. They're averaging 3.95, just like Florida State, and they have 21 recruits as well. Alrighty, and now it's time for the Sports 101, where I quickly go over a couple calls or a type of defense, whatever you viewers want to learn about, or I decide to choose if no one gives me any input. Today's topics are ref call. I'm going to go over holding, pass interference, and offsides. Holding is when you're holding, like you're covering the person and they don't have possession of the ball and you're consistently holding on to them. That's not a big no-no because it can really cause injury, and it's not cool. It's like a weak man's ball. So when you see this from the ref, that means holding. Alrighty, pass interference. This is when it can be on offense or defense. You're covering the pass, and you are holding on to, similar to holding, but when you're holding on to a player when the ball is coming towards the player and you cause the player to fall or just deliberately make him miss catching the ball, which is a big no-no as well because you're supposed to do it equally. You're supposed to have equal parts in everything to make it the most competitive. So when you see this, that's pass interference. Alrighty, offsides is on the defensive side of the ball where you're in the stance and you cross over into the neutral territory, into the line of scrimmage to the other team's side, and right as they're snapping the ball, meaning you got a head start before everyone else, giving you the unfair advantage to make the big play, which is also a big no-no. So when you see offsides, that's a false start. Offsides, that's when you know that either it's a false start, same thing, or offsides. It just has 2 names. Alrighty, well, now you know what holding, pass interference, and offsides are. That's it for me. That was week 14, the big picks of the week. I hope that your team, or whoever you want to pick is going to win. And you got to learn about the cool new recruiting styles that we're doing now. And, of course, you got to learn a little bit more about football that you didn't know last week. So, y'all have a great day. See you next week. Bye.